What does it take to become a personal trainer earning $10,000 a month, all the way to the point where you can charge clients $160 to $195 a session and only work with the clients that you love? Welcome back to the Active Life Podcast, the #1 podcast for fitness professionals by fitness professionals. Today, I'm interviewing my co-host, good friend, Larry Geyer, on how he became the professional that he is today. His journey through becoming the first active life professional, one of the first active life professionals, earning that $10,000 a month, creating a personal training business, which he is now and was only working with the clients that he's inspired by and the ones that he loves, getting referrals from other coaches and practitioners to work with clients, and today has a very select few of clients that he chooses to work with, that he's charging anywhere between that $160 to $195 a session. Outside of that, he's helped and continues to help hundreds of coaches build the exact same business that they're both inspired by the impact and income that they can make. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Geyer, welcome to the show. You know what I was thinking about?
Thank God Sean's not here.
Yes, and I've never heard your origin story for when you actually started doing personal training. I heard before that, but I've never heard the story of how you got into personal training, what kept you there, why you've been doing it for 9 years now?
Yep, year 9.
Where did you start?
I started in a commercial gym. I started in a New York sports club.
Is that like a Globo 24-hour type of thing?
Sure is. Not 24-hour, but 5,000, 6,000 members. Yeah, something like that. Machines, the Zumba classes, the turf, the weight room where all the humans who actually care about progress go.
Was it like a keep what you kill kind of a scenario where you go in and you acquire clients on your own? Like you have this membership pool that you pull from?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So there were membership consultants, and there was a fitness manager whose partial job was to be meeting people and maybe divvying out a client here and there. But mostly people were responsible for finding and selling their own clients. Yep.
Why did you start there? How did you start there?
Oh, yeah. Here's the fun part. I had zero job, was living with my mom, and could not afford the $62 membership to this gym, which was probably the best in town at the time, in the wake of a hurricane messing up the town. And it was something that I think a lot of people were excited about. And I went in with one of my friends on hey, give me your ID, try out the gym, get a free workout. If you like it, let's talk after and you could figure out how you're going to become a member here. So I give Veronica my ID. I'm like, see ya. Go upstairs, work out for like 3.5 hours so I could squeeze all the juice from it, tell myself I'm never gonna be in here again. On the way down, Veronica gives me my ID back. She's like, so what'd you think about the place? The whole thing. I was like, Veronica, I want to save you the juice. I can't afford to be a member here. However, do you have any employment opportunities?
You get to the end of the meal and you're like, I actually can't pay for this.
Right.
Could I do dishes for you?
Looking for a line cook? So she rolls her eyes. She's like, fuck, not making this sale for whatever her $19 commission or whatever was going to be. And then she says the thing that I think she probably imagines is going to be the last thing I want to hear. And she's like, I think at this point the only open positions we have are for the kids programs. And she didn't know that I worked with and enjoyed working with kids for like 9 years. I was like, that's perfect. What do I do? And she's like, she rolls her eyes and she connects me with this woman named Stephanie, who's a very, very caffeinated, very zealous sports clubs for kids director. And 2 weeks later, I was a swim instructor making $9 an hour in waist-high cold water, teaching little rodents how to not drown.
How young?
Anywhere from 5 to 11.
Okay.
Free membership.
How long did you do that for?
I did that for like 4 or 5 months. And in that 4 or 5 months, I was just making the most use of a great gym for my own fitness. I was meeting my friends there who had real jobs and were affording to pay for it. And I was just going off the wall with it. And what started to happen was that the fitness manager started to see other members coming to me with questions instead of the trainers. And they saw me training my friends there. I was all into this stuff, and my friends were just like, "What? Larry's the guy," whatever he says. So eventually, after around 4 months, the fitness manager came over. He was like, "Yo, you ever think about doing this?" And I was like, "No, I don't know if I wanted to make it a work thing," which was really all disguised for I can't afford a personal trainer certification, so no. He was like, "Look, I'll tell you what. If you go get a cert and even just start getting the cert, I'll give you a shirt. You can start working on the floor, and we'll take it from there." And I was like, "Done." Borrowed some money from my mom to cover the difference that I had for a personal trainer certification, and I was in.
You started working before you were certified.
Yeah, I started just picking up dumbbells and putting shit away, and I took all the shifts that no one wanted to take. So I took Friday night, I took Saturday night, and I took Sunday morning when all the other trainers and everything else wanted to be resting from a week. And so all I did for that 24 hours in those 3 shifts was just not stop moving around the gym, and I was never not in conversation.
Were there enough people there at those times?
Yeah. That's when all the people that I wanted to help were at, unfortunately for me, because that's when I ended up starting to work with a lot of them. But that's when the people who actually, who seemingly had the money, who had the time, and who had the interest in actually being in the gym were at the gym.
That makes sense. It's the off hours.
That's it, man. Like the teenagers are going after school for their football programs. They're not paying for anything. The 28-year-olds who think that they know everything and they just want to go get a creatine shot in their ass and then do bicep curls, they're coming at 6 o'clock and then they're leaving with their headphone half off, half on, so they could talk to hot chicks in between. The people who were actually going to the gym to be at the gym to make changes in a way that they didn't always know how, that's where they were.
Yeah, they weren't there to see and be seen.
That's right.
They weren't there for fun.
Exactly.
They were there to do work.
They were there to do work.
Do you remember your first personal training client?
The first one. I do. It was a woman named Lucille.
What was significant about Lucille? Why did Lucille decide to work with you, or how did you guys connect?
It didn't start off with her being a raging, desperate person for help that was coming to me. She had been in conversation with, full transparency, she had been in conversation with the fitness manager for a while on and off, who had rapport with her, who had seen her there week in, week out doing exactly the same thing for a year. And after a while they had started conversation and they were like, "Hey, do you know Larry?" And he basically just wrangled her into a conversation with me, and I, somewhere along the way, stumbled into earning whatever amount of trust she needed to get started. But it turned out to be a great relationship.
Yeah. How long did you work with Lucy?
I think we worked
Lucille?
together for 9 months, and then she moved with her husband.
Okay.
But it was really cool. She was 64 at the time, and she was just like, I have this vague suspicion that I don't need to feel worse and worse as I go from 60 to 65. But that's what everyone around me says, and I just don't want that to be the case, and I'm looking for reasons that doesn't have to be true.
Okay. So when did that occur in your timeline? Because that you were doing the kids class for 4 to 5 months.
Yep.
You start training on the floor.
Yep, that was as soon as I got my cert. So
Okay.
that was, I had been there for 6 months.
All right. How long did it take you then to start acquiring clients at a clip where you're like, okay, this could actually be a thing?
It took me, I would say, I was a slower burn than I would like, and than I certainly would be now, but I would say it took me 2 months to feel like I belonged there after getting my certification. And after I started feeling like I belonged there, I realized that I was paying a different kind of attention and gaining a different kind of trust and respect from the membership base in general, that I started to feel like this place is actually mine. And once I felt like this place is mine, because of the amount of time and energy that I was putting in, where I saw other trainers showing up for a paycheck, once I started to feel like that place was mine, I started to be very regularly proactive about conversation.
Was that the gap that you noticed? Was you felt like you were there owning the space and the other professionals or the other trainers there were just cashing it in?
Yes. That is the fundamental difference. Once I decided, and I knew from the way the other people responded to me, that I was there to go all in on doing something, and everyone else had a job that they liked. Once that was the difference, everything about my behavior started changing, and everything about my business started changing.
Is there an example of what changed?
Yeah. Well, first, I realized that what I was trying to help people believe was the biggest thing that I was focused on doing differently than other people. Other people in consultations were like, don't worry, it's a no sweat consultation. You don't have to buy anything. I'm going to put you through a little workout. We're going to check in a couple movements. We're going to see how you feel. And people were trying to sell the endorphin rush that comes when someone does their first workout in 10 fucking years. Mm-hmm. That's what they were selling. I wasn't. I was having conversations about why people wanted to be in the gym in the first place. And I don't know how to have those conversations. I didn't know how to have those conversations anywhere like I do now, but I was still shooting for the same thing without knowing it. And once I started to realize that I was having a conversation that was different than what most of the other trainers were having in their consultations, I was like, all right, I need to go all in on this. This is the thing.
And it took you a couple months to get to where you were confident enough, you were making enough money.
No. Okay. I wasn't ever making enough money there,
right.
But I was confident enough to fill a book of business, turn people away, and basically be the guy there.
How long were you there?
4 years total.
Okay.
Trained there for 3.5.
All right. So you had filled the book of business. You weren't necessarily making enough money, but you were like, there might be something here.
Yeah. Well, eventually it was, this is what I'm going to do. And it seems like my choices are have a shitty life and do it here, or figure something else out.
Okay. So what was the figuring something else out? What did you do next?
Well, I realized that I needed to leave that gym, which was super scary because my career was born there. A passion that I didn't know, and a talent and a skill that I had that I didn't know was there or could be there was born there. There were 3,500 people that I knew by name in a membership of 5,000. The options were leave and figure this out and start to be a business owner versus an employee, which is a very different mindset that we talk about often enough, or stay there and become one of the crusty, begrudging trainers that I had seen there. I wasn't going to do that.
If they had developed in such a way that allowed you to see yourself cultivating that success in that facility, would you have stayed?
I would have stayed there for years longer. I tried to get that to happen. There was just, oh, this is corporate and sorry, my hands are tied. All right. Well, I don't have any other options.
Okay. So where'd you go next?
To the rec center, which was a leaky hole in the wall with a set of dumbbells, machines I was never going to use, and a slanted roof.
All right.
Very, very small, downgraded facility where clients were going to pay me more and purportedly get better results.
How'd that work?
Great. Great. I talked to all of them. I was like, look,
all of the clients that you had in New York Sports Club?
All of the clients that I had in New York Sports Club, I did the math on how many of them. First of all, I decided which ones I wanted to keep working with.
Oh.
And then I did the math on how many of them needed to come with me and what I would need to charge to at least break even where I was. And what I also knew is that I liked and respected the place because it fostered my career. And so I didn't want to do any harm to their business. I knew how much money was going to leave with me if they left, and I didn't want to do that. So the way that I framed it was I met each one of my clients individually at Starbucks with a nice shirt and a portfolio of a bunch of like their programs and what I thought about them and what my plan was for my life. And I told them, the reason I'm having this conversation with you is because I respect you. And I want you to know that I need to leave that gym there. And the reason I need to leave is because if I want this to be a career and I want to continue to become better and better, and I want to have a family, I can't stay here, period. And they were like, I get it. I'm surprised you're still here. So I said, I'm doing this. If you decided that you wanted to continue to work with me there, I would be happy to welcome you. If you did not, I completely respect that. And if you want the stability and the predictability of that institution and the way that billing cycle works and all of that, I want to find you the next best person that I can find there. And I would do my due diligence for that. All 100% of the people that I decided I wanted to come with me were just like, where you go, we go. And they didn't bat an eyelash there.
Hey, it's Dr. Sean here reminding you that if you are a coach who wants to fill the gap neglected by fitness and healthcare, and you want to make a career doing it, we might be able to help you. Head to the show notes. There's a link there. You're going to click that link to download the ALP curriculum. That's the stuff that we teach to coaches over the course of 13 months to turn them into world-class professionals who never have to worry about missing a paycheck again, doing work they love to do. Go ahead and check that out, and I'll see you on the other side. Let's get you back to the show.
So you downgrade to a facility, well, in terms of the facility, right? But you're charging more. You're providing what about the service changes, if anything?
Well, first of all, I'm making double the money in 2/3 the time.
Okay.
So everything about how I feel and show up as a person is way better. Everyone knows what that means, right? You make more money in less time, everything's better.
Yeah. You have more energy.
You have more energy. You have more space. You have more time. Here's the deal. The big part of the reason that I wasn't providing the service that I wanted is because I didn't have the time or the money to pursue the kind of education that I wanted regularly, to become the kind of practitioner that I wanted. I was still Googling problems in between things instead of actually learning systems for solving problems. So the first thing that happens is I just have more time and energy for them as a person. The second is that I'm able to pursue the kinds of education and the mentorship that allow me to be the practitioner that I want. I have the money to buy tools that I didn't have or wouldn't have been able to effectively use at the other place, whatever it is. And they just have a much higher quality Larry in general.
How long did you train at the rec center then?
2 years. 2 years out of that place. The other answer to that is one of the things that I wanted to do with the sports club that they wouldn't let me do for pay in any way, I didn't want to do it for free, was when people started showing that they didn't need all of the hand-holding every single week and they were ready for more workouts, I wanted to start delivering more complete programming for them, for them to do on their own with my guidance. Maybe instead of seeing them 3 times a week, now they've graduated, I could see them once a week. They can do 4 other workouts that week that I've programmed based on that. They're going farther faster.
Sure.
Right? They wouldn't let me create a program like that there.
Really?
The gym would have made more money. I would have made more money. Everyone would have been happier.
What was the excuse? It's corporate. We can't do that.
We can't change that structure. We can't create something like that, whatever it is. So I could start to do that there. So they were actually getting more and more results because now I had this thing that was just mine. I had autonomy over the service that I delivered and how it worked. That's really the way that I was most effective.
Okay. So you were there for 2 years. What happens next?
Well, after that, in that 2 years, I'm connected with Dr. Sean, his former business partner at his clinic, at the former Active Life clinic and gym. And I start to do a little bit of work there. They start to call me the orthopedic personal trainer there. The other thing that starts to happen is I become a remote coach for Active Life. So eventually it gets to the point where I spend more and more time in things like programming for clients, attending seminars, helping to run workshops, things like that. And eventually I get to a position where my time is split 50-50, realize opportunity for growth and scale here. And ultimately I ended up letting go of a $10,000 a month personal training business that I was running in like 22 hours a week total to do this.
How many clients were you servicing for that $10K a month? And that was a combination of in-person and remote.
Yeah. So it was like 9 clients, something like that.
Okay.
9-ish.
Mm-hmm. And that was, they're going to work with you some of the time and then they're going to do their own individual programs some of the other time.
Yeah. So the average person was coming like 2 times a week, 1 or 2 times a week. And then they were doing some remote programming additional to that.
Okay. So you were about $1,100 per client per month.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I imagine that making the decision to, all right, so we've gone through, 7 years now, and you've built up this 6 years, 7 years?
6 years, yep.
6 years, you built up this personal training thing from something that started as a kid's class where you're teaching kids how to swim to a $10,000 a month business. Mm-hmm. Why let that go?
I was in a position where I was turning people away, and I had no one else that I can trust for them to go to. I was frustrated by that. And at the same time, there were 4 other budding personal trainers who were young. They were like 19, 20. They really wanted to do it. And I was starting to brainstorm how I can help them do what I did. So I wanted to sell like this $1,000 3-month mentorship program that I was like, dude, this is so expensive. No one's going to pay $333 a month for 3 months to learn this from me. But that's what I was putting together, and I was pitching that to them. And they were like, I can't do that. But I had this idea, right? I was like, okay, there are 4 people that want to do this. I could help 40 more people through these 4 people, including the 4 that I was turning away, right? And that's when conversations with people at Active Life here helped me realize, look, you can help a lot more than 4 people, help a lot more than 40 people if we grow this thing here. It's like I was starting to see where I wanted to go, and I was starting to conceive how I was going to build a rowboat to get there, and Active Life was already on a ship that was going in the same direction.
Do you think that progression is natural for people who get into this space, where we go from the primary deliverer of service to wanting to coach people or teach people how to do it?
I do.
I do too.
Yeah, when people get good enough, they realize that there's no reason not to teach other people how to get good enough and follow in their footsteps. It seems pretty natural.
Well, it's an economy of scale too, right? We run out of the time to service. Even if I own the facility or I'm impacting 100, 150 people, right? But if I can teach people how to do it, then they can impact 100 to 150 people. And now like the size of the total impact is much greater.
That's it.
All right. So you start working for Active Life. You're still doing personal training now. How do you decide now then? Because this to me parallels to people who grow personal training businesses to a point where they're like, okay, I can't be delivering service anymore. I'm going to transition into some other. How do you decide now whether to work with a client or not?
It's very, very simple. They have to be overwhelmingly inspiring to me to help. Whatever problems that they have now, I keep 3 clients, period. I want to stay sharp. It gives me energy. It creates proof of concept for our students. It's a win all around. The person that I take on now needs to be someone who has a set of problems that I'm really, really interested in helping them with. That's it. That's it. I don't have a niche.
Do you have an example?
Yeah. My most recent client is a 77-year-old woman who had debilitating low back and structurally changed osteoarthritic knees, who wasn't spending more than a couple of hours at a time on her feet. And now she sprints. That's really, really cool to me. That's happened in 30 sessions.
Wow.
So this is someone who is completely lucid, who's like, fuck the story of what happens when you're 77. I just don't know what to do, but fuck that story. And she's like, I want to dance at my granddaughter's wedding. How old's your granddaughter? 20 months. All right. It's going to be a hell of a wedding for you. That's someone who, the idea of being able to help someone not be a prisoner in their own body, who's that lucid and that focused and that motivated. I love that, man.
That fuck that story seems to be a through line for you, from individual you doing it to the clients that you help.
I don't follow.
Well, you said at New York Sports Club, right? This is the ceiling that they're going to allow me to be able to earn the impact, the income that I can create here. Fuck that story. I'm going to go over here and do my own thing.
Yeah.
Right. So I imagine that there's people who get into that. I know I know there's people who get into that and they're like, well, I guess this is as good as it gets.
Yeah. Well, to me, this is, I think a lot of my, especially adult life, has been a story of, the thought of staying where I am is so intolerable that I don't have a choice but to jump this gap and see what happens. That's it.
Do you think that happens forever?
I don't see a stop to it now. And I understand that there are pros and cons to that. But as long as that's my way of being right now, and that it generates benefit for me and everyone that I'm involved with, I don't see a problem to operating that way. I think that we need people to do that. And I think, to your point, there are a lot of people who don't. And currently it doesn't jive with me to not do that right now.
Sure. What's a piece of that timeline or a piece of that story that I didn't ask about that I should know about?
That I thought it was a good idea to eat veggie burgers instead of regular burgers.
What?
Yeah.
When?
for like 3 of those years.
Early or in the middle?
Early, middle.
Ugh.
Yeah.
What happened?
Listen, I think I fell victim to the whole thing, man.
Well, what's the whole thing?
I was a vegetarian for a year.
Oh my God.
I thought it was a really good idea.
My view of you has changed.
Listen, we've all make mistakes.
Did you become impotent? And just hating life?
No, but yeah, it was fine. I mean, I wasn't not eating. But I thought that eating what is it, Dr. Prager, punch me in the face, whatever the hell the brand of the burger is. I was making wraps out of those every day, and I was like, hell yeah, I'm a fucking genius, dude. I'm gonna live forever.
I've hacked the system.
I'm winning. Everyone else is dumb. I was eating one of those every day.
Okay.
And we can't unknow that now.
Why'd you go back?
Oh, this is one of my favorite stories, period, dude. So we have a seminar in Texas, and after one of these, I was probably eating meat once a week at this point.
All right.
And we have a seminar in Texas, and we go to a very classic Texas barbecue that looks like Auschwitz. And there are like it's just a dark brick building with a smokestack.
Mm-hmm.
And there are like 4 things on the menu. And there are just a bunch of like people that are disgruntled and focused. And like, I'm like, all right, this is going to be different. This is going to be my once a week for sure. And I have like a pound of brisket, 3/4 of a pound of pulled pork, a rack of ribs. And I fucking cartwheel out of the parking lot. No, I'm serious. I'm fucking cartwheeling to the car. Cleary, Sean, and Ryan Summers are like, Ryan Summers is in a coma halfway through his thing, trying to hide the rest of his ribs with napkins because he's embarrassed, because he feels so sick. I'm literally cartwheeling to the car. It's 9:00 at night. We have first day of seminar the next morning. I take home Ryan's ribs in a take-home thing, have 2 more of the ribs that night before I go to bed, wake up at 7, have the rest of his ribs cold in the hotel fridge. And I'm like, why would I ever deprive myself of this? I feel like I can flip a fucking Volkswagen right now.
That's the best.
Yeah.
Story.
And that began my transition to the opposite of the way I was eating.
Love that.
Yeah, me too.
Good work out there.
Yeah, thanks.
I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Active Life podcast. If you did, please head to wherever you listen and leave us that 5-star rating. It really does go a long way. 5 stars goes a long way. Please leave them. If you're interested in working with us as a coach, remember, we help coaches from around the world build fulfilling careers, working with clients they're inspired to help so they never have to worry about being able to pay your bills again. No one's ever going to ask you if you are going to get a real job when you work with Active Life. All you have to do, head into the show notes, click the link that you find there, download our curriculum. That will give you a feel for what it is going to take for you to be successful. A team member of ours will reach out to you to find out if it's a fit for us to work together. Till the next show, turn pro.